Namo Amida Boots, Namo Amida Boots, Namo Amida Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots. Gasho. Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots. Hello and welcome to the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple's YouTube service. This is the service for December 19th, 2021. We're so glad that you could come and join us to hear and share the Buddha Dharma. Service order for this YouTube service will first be the chanting of Juseige. You can find Juseige on page 57 in the Blue Denver Service Book. We'll then have a reading of the Metta. You can find the Metta on page 108 in the Blue Denver Service Book. We'll then have a Dharma talk given by me where you can hear how I fell off a mountain and about how the personal prisons we put ourselves in are penetrable always by the Nembutsu. So please stick around and say Namo Amida Butsu with me. Once again, thank you so much for joining us here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. And if you don't have your own copy of the Blue Denver Service Book, well, don't worry. If you look in the description below, you'll find a hyperlink to a Google Doc where you can download your own PDF copy of the Blue Denver Service Book. Download it and use it to chant along with Juseige or any of the other sutras that we chant here at Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. And if you're in the Denver metro area, please join us at 7 p.m. on New Year's Eve, December 31st, 2021, for an outdoors New Year's Eve service, where we're going to be ringing our big bell in front of the temple, the Bonsho, and enjoying some soba for New Year's Eve. And once again, we are looking to have everyone do everything they can to help protect all those that are around them. The Omicron variant of the COVID virus is back and definitely getting people. So if you can wear a mask and get vaccinated, that will help protect all people that are weaker than yourselves. And remember, you can say the Nembutsu wherever and whenever you are. So join me together and always say Namo Amida Boots. Gagon chosengan hishimu jodo shingan fumanzok seifu joshongak gahomu yoko Fui dai se shu, fusai shobingu, seifu joshongak, gashi jobundo, myosho chojipo kukyo mishomon seifu joshongak wiyoku jinshonen joe shubonyo Shigumu jodo Isho tenin shi Jinriki endai ko Fusho musaido 少女三苦名交際集約難回避知恵言滅死根門閉塞小悪道通難全宗門高僧上満足異様の実法日願修十期天候不言一種解放像公正苦読法上大集中説法ししく供養一切分具足修徳本願念心上満得意三害を如文無下知通難未不詳願学へ力投資最小尊志願や交換大戦の感動国書天人統珍妙形ナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナムナマナム願にしく読病の聖祭ど本もないしお嬢安らこ Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots. Please join me in Gasho for a reading of the Metta. May all beings be happy. May they all be joyous and live in safety. All living beings, whether weak or strong, in high or middle or low realms of existence, small or great, visible or invisible, near or far, born or to be born. May all beings be happy. Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namo Amida Boots. Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots. Hello and welcome once again back to the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple's YouTube channel and to this Dharma talk. I'm Reverend Caitlin Kongo Masher Mace, and today we're going to be reading from the Shozo Matsu Wasan, the Shozu Matsu Wasan, Shinran's hymns on the last Dharma age. This is the Rikoku translation series, and we're going to be reading Shozu Matsu Wasan, Wasan number 38. So please join me in Gasho. About the Tathagata's making of the vow, without deserting beings in torment, and making it his supreme concern to transfer merit to them, he consummated the mind of great compassion. Namo Amida Boots, 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 Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots. So, this Wasan, number 38, has, in this Rikoku translation series, like a more plain English translation below it. So below it, it says, when we consider the intention behind Amida's establishment of the vow, we find that it rose from his mind of great compassion, not forsaking suffering and afflicted beings, but solely for the sake of saving them by giving all of them virtues he gained. His great compassionate mind was perfected. And the thing I want to key on here, but solely for the sake of saving them by giving them all virtues he gained, his great compassionate mind was perfected, not forsaking suffering and afflicted beings. So my goal today, and the talk today, is going to be about the prisons we make, the prisons we build for ourselves. And this is not about the United States judicial and penal systems, which desperately need reform, but I am not an expert on that subject. I am a religious scholar, not one of the judicial. However, it is my opinion that those are broken and do need fixing. But today I'm going to talk about our prisons that we make for ourselves. And so to start this off, I'm going to tell you guys a story from my life. And I don't do this too often. Like I do talk about things, but this is an actual story from my life. So I'm going to set the stage for you. It is 2003. And in 2003, it was the summer of 2003 going into 2004. So I was going into my junior year at university. And for those of you who don't know, I grew up in northern New Mexico. And in northern New Mexico, I worked as a backpacking guide. So I worked for a company that contracted out to different groups and took kids and adults out backpacking. And so it was late in the season, and I was probably out on my, might have been like 6th or 7th trip. It was the last trip of the year. And I'm out with this group, and very nice people, very good. The kids love to hike. The adults were really into it. We were on day 5 of a 6-day trip, and I looked out to the horizon. And you have to say, I'm the guide. I'm by myself. I'm 20 years old. I'm literally 20 years old. I'm still a kid in a lot of ways. And when I say a guide, I knew the area well, but I didn't have every trail memorized. But I was just basically there to keep everyone safe and to keep them pointed the right way on the map. And as this group I was leading was from Texas, to make sure they weren't suffering from altitude sickness, AMS, HAPE, HACE, any of that kind of stuff. So I look out and I see smoke on the horizon. And in this period in New Mexico, having a forest fire is pretty common. And me being 20, thinking that I have to fulfill a certain role that is the brave backpacking guide, I look at this group and say, I'm going to go try to figure out what's going on with that smoke. I want you all to stay here by the river, and I'm going to go figure this out. So I take my cell phone, and this is like my Nokia brick phone that you could play Snake on, if you guys remember those, like a Nokia 8210 or something like that. And this really, really bad 800 megahertz radio, there was a repeater that it could hit, but no one was ever listening on the other end. And basically I wanted to figure out, is this fire coming anywhere near us? So I hiked out by myself, no one knowing where I'm going. And I hiked out about 3 miles, and I see this giant hill, and I can see the smoke way on the other side, and I was like, you know what's gonna be a good idea? I'm gonna hike up this hill myself. And so I hike up this hill, not up a trail, mind you, but just roughshod up the side of this hill, and I get to the top, and I can't see smoke, and I can't get any cell phone signal, and no one's answering on the radio. And I'm like, this is really stupid. And I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna come back down. And in the process of coming back down, I slipped and fell down a ledge of about 10, 12 feet, landed, scraped myself up really badly, bent my trekking pole, which was the only thing that kept me from falling further. And to this day, I'm amazed that I was not further injured. So I hobbled the 2 miles back to camp. It was getting dark. I hadn't eaten dinner. I didn't bring any food with me. Like, I wasn't being smart. And I'm bleeding from a lot of different places. There's still scars on my legs from this fall. And I come back in and I look at the boys and the girls and the adults, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna hike out tomorrow. I can't tell where the smoke is, and we're gonna go. And that was that. I did something really, really stupid, and I did it because I built my own prison of expectation. I had decided that the only way I could be competent at my job, the only way I could be sufficient in anyone else's eyes, was to put myself by myself, take everyone out of risk, because it was my job to protect everyone. I'm the backpacking guide. I have to protect everyone. And so I hiked up the side of a mountain that I fell down. I got hurt, and luckily enough was okay enough to walk back. But thinking back of this now as an adult, like, this was probably the most dangerous things I've ever done. I've done a lot of really stupid stuff in my life. And if you guys ever get a chance to hang out with me in person and want to say, hey, Caitlin, tell me the dumbest thing you've ever done. This may not be the top story, but this is in the top 20. But I built myself into a prison of my own expectations. I expected myself to be this way, and so anything outside of that expectation was for me then failing. And in doing that, I isolated myself from resources and from help and from the realization that I wasn't alone. And so people do this all the time. We're very good at building our own prisons, our own cells of isolation. And there is a Buddhist concept to that. So last week during Bodhi Day, we talked about Shakyamuni Buddha sitting by himself under the Bodhi tree and gaining enlightenment. However, we're not Shakyamuni Buddha. We're humans of this age. And the first thing Shakyamuni did was go to a group and teach them, and then continue having people in a group together, not isolating yourself, but living together in the Sangha, the group that is all of us. And it is our actions that put ourselves isolated from the Sangha, from the individual people, from our support and our biggest fans, the people that are out there for us. And so we decide that we have to be strong and tough and everything else and isolate ourselves out. So this is a big thing within medicine and within EMS, within police and firefighters. They think they have to bear this tragedy on their own, so they walk by themselves. And some things you can't share with people. Some things are too hard. So as a paramedic, I can tell you there's things that I can't share with people, because if I do, y'all be mortified. It's just, and there's no common frame of reference. It's hard to share an event where, like, oh, I walked in and I saw X and this and this and that, and it was disgusting, and there was this and that, and blah, 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 ha, 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 because that's how you deal with it. And it's mortifying. So you isolate yourself out. You put yourself in this prison of experience. But you also put yourself in a prison of expectation, a prison of wants. Oh, nothing matters until I finish this thing. I can only do this thing. I'm going to isolate myself off. And in the end, we've put ourselves in a box after a box after a box after a box after a box that we turn around. When we look at people, they're only seeing us through these lists of boxes, and we don't allow anyone inside these boxes with us. We isolate ourselves off. And so the goal of this talk today is to remind ourselves that we are literally never alone. We don't live alone. We are not beings that are alone. Amida is always walking with us. And so when we read the Shozumatsu Wasan, we see Shinran saying about the Tathagata's making of the vow without deserting beings in torments and making it his supreme concern to transfer merit to them, he consummated the mind of great compassion. The other translation, not forsaking suffering and afflicted beings. Are we not those people? Are we not the suffering and afflicted beings? Are we not the people who are isolated and alone, of prisons of our own making, of our own expectations and our own thoughts? Is there not the moments that we sit there and we're in a crowd and we feel completely isolated? That we're at a party and we're by ourselves? That we're in a Zoom meeting and we turn our cameras off because we just don't feel like we're with anybody? So we all have these moments. And I can tell you, I have them a lot. I have them a lot where I feel no one else is walking with me. No one else is in the same path. But then I remember to open my eyes and I see Amida is walking with me. My friend is walking with me. Calling from the other side of the boxes, but also inside the boxes, from the other side of the jail cell that we build, but also sitting right next to me in the jail cell. I am never alone when I have the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. So no matter what box you put yourself in, no matter what situation you're in, what set of circumstances you're in, whatever stupid mountain you climb to fall down, you are not alone. The Nembutsu is with you. No matter how hard the feels are, no matter how many bad feelings these are, no matter how memeable you feel your situation is, and we've all seen, this meme right over here, guy, fire, dog, this is fine. Hopefully I don't get a YouTube copyright strike for that, but this is fine. This is fine. Because it's never actually that. You've always got a friend with you. You've always got the Nembutsu with you. We are the tormented and afflicted beings because we have desire. We have wants, and these wants put us in these boxes. I'm not going to tell you how to get out of the boxes because I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. We have advice on how to see through the boxes. We have advice on how to get out of our own personal prisons. But there's no universal methodology to get out of our boxes. There's no universal methodology or key to get ourselves out of our prisons. But a good thing to remember is when you look around and you see everyone else, they're in theirs too. When you look around and see everyone else, they are also sad and lonely. When you look around and see everyone else, they are also wanting to have a friend. They are also all climbing up on their expectations and falling off their mountain. And so, be a hand for them. But also be a hand for yourself and say Namo Amida Butsu. Because no matter where you go, the Buddha is in there. As Reverend Fuji used to say in his kids' Dharma talk, look in there, the Buddha is there. Look in there, the Buddha is there. There is nowhere you can go, the Buddha is not. Look in there, the Buddha is there. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. So my urging to you today is everywhere you go, say Namo Amida Butsu. Whatever situation you feel yourself in, say Namo Amida Butsu. However lonely you feel, say Namo Amida Butsu. And whenever you feel you've put yourself in a box that you can't escape, say Namo Amida Butsu. And if you're ever super worried about it, say Namo Amida Butsu. And if you need a friend, call the temple, and I'm there for you. Because I know sometimes I need a friend, and I call someone too. But no matter what, where you are and what's going on, you can yell the words or whisper them. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. And Amida, who makes his supreme concern the transference of merit to you, will always be there to liberate you in the end. This is not a magical phrase which is going to fix you or get you out of your box. But this is a phrase to let you know it does end. And when it does, it'll be glorious. But until then, reach out and grab someone else in their box and live it together. Because that's what we got. And as the year's closing out, as the sun is up less, and as we feel a little more isolated in our homes, as COVID once again rears his ugly head, we may all feel slightly alone. Do what you can to make someone else feel better. And say the Nembutsu. So please join me in Gassho as we read from the Shozo Matsuwatsan, the 38th verse. About the Tathagata's making of the vow, without deserting beings in torment, and making it his supreme concern to transfer merit to them, he consummated the mind of great compassion. And please join me in Gassho and say the words you can say anywhere. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu.